Iceman, any particular big changes we should be looking out for?
The biggest one I understand is the hint tiles for now, which means all the telepathic tiles will give you a hint on locations which could be vague or more direct. And I saw a red pendant, Eastern Crystal 6, Desert Palace, and regular Crystal Tower of Hera.
Well, it looks like we're not going to have any pendants besides that Eastern. Or I'm sorry, you said the Eastern Palace was a.
Was red pendant.
Oh, red pendant. Got it. Yeah. So we're going to potentially have a skippable Eastern Palace. This is the defeat Ganon goal type, so we will not actually have to collect the pendants unless they're logically required for items. Getting some more information here, we're finding out our tier 1 tree pull is blue rupees today.
Which is not bad for gaining money for the various things like collecting Zora.
It looks like Quizbowl is going to be the only one of our runners setting up a Houlihan room. He's going to look to get 255 rupees here in the secret room that handles error exceptions. And that'll be useful if he wants to go to Zora early on. I was also excited to see that we had bombs in the Uncle part of Escape, so if we wanted to continue on further into Escape, you could technically still do so if you're careful with pots and bombs. You could at least get to Zelda's cell.
Yeah, and if not that, at least they have some going to Kakariko Village.
And it appears to be exactly what they're going to do. We have opportunities for more information gathering here. Ovidius Nasso and GamerCal showing us the Lumberjack area. Durand actually going to skip it.
Yeah, I think usually most people don't go up here until they get their boots because they'd rather save a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing you can do to get this item until you've killed Aghanim and have boots to knock into that bonk tree. But sometimes knowing what's here can be very valuable, and today is just a piece of heart. How vanilla.
Yep, and there's a map check to confirm that Eastern was red pendant, Tower of Hera was regular crystal, and Desert Palace was 5/6.
In the forest, we have a vanilla mushroom, a very unusual flavor. I'm not sure if we have any. What's the word for mycologist? To explain what kind of species
I'm not sure.
that is. Nevertheless, though, good thing to have, and we'll have at least one fetch quest item we can return. Well, as our runners make their way into Kakariko, we have a lot of items we can pick up here. Blind's Hut can be the first one in there is Durand, which will give us access to 5 items. Durand bombs open the wall. First item is going to be a full heart container. We're going to find 50 rupees. We'll have another 20 and another 20. Well, that does give us the bottle vendor.
Yeah, so they can at least capitalize on the most amount of checks that they can here in Kakariko Village.
Now, it's not uncommon to see people routing in Kakariko so early on and to make their way through here before they even go to most of the rest of the world. There's a lot of potential world access that we can get from the items here, progression. But we're not finding a whole lot just yet. Finding lots of cash in the well, though. Durand is is already beyond Zora money, actually. We'll be able to go check that if he wants to later on. We'll need to either do a fake flipper or find the gloves to do so. We have bombos being found at the bottle vendor and a bottle also in the well itself, so we can also get the sick kid on the way through. This is turning out to be pretty efficient. Not to be forgetting anything, though, Chicken Shack's going to have our other bottle with a fairy in it. Fairy and Blue Potion, very stout defense that we have here early on in the scene. You'll see that Durand here is going to buy some bombs. We have a lot of rupees to work with and are likely to find a bunch more before we ever end up in the Zora area. So A smart and shrewd decision to make sure that you're not going to run out for a while. Sick Kid here also available, going to give us a magic cape.
That's
Which,
pretty handy.
yeah, I know, but if we had the lamp, we would almost be able to do Aghanim. We still need a sword too.
It also means that if they have something on Bumper Ledge, they're not going to have to try to hunt for the cape to grab it then.
You're absolutely right. So checking it is actually going to make more sense than it would have otherwise. Smart thinking. And then Durand making his way out of Kakariko. We'll have the race game to do in a moment, but we still want to see if we're boots locked for an item here in the library. Somehow I don't think he's coming back for that 20.
It's very unlikely.
Well, the race game giving us a quarter of a heart, just a heart piece there, will be vanilla, but not worth our time. I'm kind of surprised to not see more variants here. 3 of our runners are handling this open sequence pretty similar to each other. Quiz Bowl kind of took a different route early on, but given that there's 96 players, I'm surprised to not see more variants.
Yeah, usually people take the same route for open. There's not a huge amount of variance.
Yes, the better the boomerangs here in the dam. I'm glad to see Duran picking that up. Plenty of small room optimizations you can do with that as well. Ooh, did you see what GamerCal just did there?
Looks like fake flipper up to do the mushroom.
Yeah, and the way he sets that up is really nice too. There's a couple different ways you can set up a fake flipper on that screen transition. You just have to be able to hit the water 1 frame away from it. And so GamerCal doing that in a less commonly seen spot, but that's a very good way to get there.
Yeah, I guess to get this one check out of the way. Not that great of a check anyways.
Does a hard reset as well, making sure you can preserve that mushroom in case he wants to fake powder later. That's pretty smart.
Yeah, we'll see if that actually ends up being worthwhile. Durand having a bit of trouble in the mini Moldorm cave.
Might have wanted to practice up a little bit playing Bomberman before this, but has plenty of bombs to work with, so we'll actually pull it off.
Let's hope it actually pays off, though. Moon Pearl, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say that paid off.
Book, not 100% sure about, but you never know.
Oh, the places that we'll go. You know, we'll go on a Reading Rainbow. But Avidius Nasso also in the neighborhood going to pick up his mini Moldorm items. Durand, interestingly enough, saves and quits and is going to head towards the eastern area, the first of our runners to do so.
Oh, not quite going up. Maybe they're churning in their mushroom as well.
And then I'm wondering if that follows with a save and quit. Although, with that Moon Pearl, we don't have a fake flipper to get to the waterfall cave. That's actually kind of inconvenient. I'm wondering if we'll probably see Durand save and quit after this, I think, or just hard reset.
With the save and quit to get to up here, I would assume they probably also hard reset. Ovidius going up to the ice rod cave. Hopefully there'll be something worthwhile here.
And our very first look at the Ice Rod Cave from Avidius Nasso, as we mentioned, is going to be a piece of heart. We are not quite at a full container. That is one thing that some runners may keep in mind if they see a freestanding piece of heart, is they may not collect it hoping to try to time it and get a full heal somewhere convenient in a dungeon. GamerCal getting really close to dying here against these crabs. These are some of the most dangerous light world enemies that you get before killing Aghanim 1. Having to resort to some boomerang strats, which is actually a great idea.
Yeah, I believe they do 2 hearts of damage, so they can be pretty bad.
I didn't catch if Avidius Nasso jumped off the ledge there, but that was an opportunity to check the Lake Hylia Island.
Looks like Duran's heading over to desert area. I can't see anything else he'd be coming down here for.
Yeah, so we'll have the ability to check Magina's cave. We find a hammer though in Sahasrula's hut, and that's pretty interesting for this point of the race.
Yeah, it doesn't quite unlock anything yet, but who knows what they'll get to. What they'll end up finding that might make that worthwhile. But
Yeah,
with
I'm
the
thinking if we
book,
find a glove.
yeah, with the book at least though, Duran can check Agina's cave and then go up to desert, grab the ledge item, whatever that may be.
You know, I'm starting to wonder with all the vanilla we've seen in the seed if we're gonna have a vanilla power glove today. We don't have boots though, so there's a pretty good chance that we don't have any access to that chest, but we'll find out. Seems like Sahasrula's cowboy cousin in the desert, though, not really coming up with much, just a little bit of love. So it's kind of interesting to have to choose between Eastern Palace and Desert Palace here.
Or like GamerCal's doing escape sequence with the hammer.
And that's a pretty nice weapon to use for it as well. We'll not be wasting a ton of time. I mean, a bomb strat was possible earlier, but it was going to be a lot slower.
Yeah, they're pretty decked out right now, so this might be a good play. With the sword, there we go. Now lamp and then Aga 1's in play.
And with the Moon Pearl in hand, Quizbull is going to be the first one to the Waterfall Cave, having to avoid a couple of Zora beams, actually. Could have died there.
And just the Fisher Price shield.
And so far, Escape not showing much for GamerCal. We still have a few chests to check here in Desert and, of course, in Eastern Palace. And it looks like we were able to get over to the Big Key chest here with the Big Key, finding yet another key to the east side. So there's still a couple of chances for items over there.
Yeah, it's not quite boots lock, but they still can't defeat Lemo if they even get... If even there's an item on it yet.
Yeah, that's true. We need the lamp just to get in there. We find an ice rod, though, at the bottom of Escape. And GamerCal, I mean, yikes.
And pay 500 to get 1 rupee back.
Oh, no. That's the most amazing scam.
Yesterday it was pay 500 to get a single arrow.
Ah, but I mean, you know, if we were to go by retro rules, I suppose that's still a better trade.
No, because retro you wouldn't even have actual arrows, you'd have just money.
I'm not good at exchange rates, but Durand, having found everything he can in Desert Palace, is going to nope the heck out of there. And we'll be heading towards the Escape like GamerCal did. I'm wondering, out of 96 people, how many people are going to neglect Escape, seeing as it does not have the progression they'll need to get to the next part of the game.
It looks like Eastern had lamp.
Yes, that appears to be correct.
So with the sword that we know that's in Escape, probably at this point it looks like Aga 1.
Yeah, we do not have bow to finish up Eastern. We can't finish up Desert Palace. We can't get up the mountain without any kind of glove or flute. 100% appears to be the case. We didn't see the back half of Escape, though, did we?
No, but they would have needed the lamp from Eastern to get to the back half if there was even a key there.
Yeah, so there's a chance that we still could avoid Aghanim if there is some kind of combination of either, well, if there is Power Glove or the flute back there, but barring that, we will be heading up the tower. and it would appear that the hint of Desert Palace is telling us, well, at least it seemed like the dam item when the water's drained is just a piece of heart. That's not giving us much useful information, but it only takes a moment to check. Another feature of version 30.
Yeah, I'd say that's not very useful information considering that all the runners have already seen that.
But on the bright side, it's confirmed nobody's going to miss that ice rod unless I guess they check the back half first. But I don't anticipate that. I just don't see why someone would, unless they have a mirror. Maybe. I mean, no.
No, because of the way the sea is working, they're all going to have to check the front half to get that sword.
All right. Well, it appears that Durand is on his way to get his ice rod as well, going through the escape. Pretty soon, all of our runners are about to converge on the same location.
Now, he's already done the front half of the escape if he has the sword. That just might be a misclick on the tracker.
So it'll be the first one to head up the tower, finally. So this is kind of early compared to how you do this in a speed run. Probably a good, well, dungeon and a half ahead, interestingly enough. But we'll have to use the cape to get in since we don't have a master sword. And that was actually a fire rod.
Yep, fire rod for everyone for going through escape at the very least. And it does look like Aga 1.
I'd like to personally apologize to the trackers for the lack of clarity on which rod it was, but yes, that is a fire rod in the back of, or the bottom of escape. Well, there's all of our fire sources. Now, Ice Rod could still troll us today. We don't know what Turok is just yet, and even then, we could still end up requiring it.
I guess Durand is noped out of Aga 1, but Avidius will tell us whether it actually is needed, because they're going down to the darkest escape.
Well, there's our key. I don't believe we saw a map in the sanctuary, so it might be possible we can skip one chest and save a handful of frames, but I don't think anybody's tracking that closely. Maybe.
The only way they can get out of Aga 1 now is finding basically the gloves through here or through a fetch quest from one of these three chests.
Alright, plenty of bombs to spare. Rat's getting exterminated by this bomb. 3 chests here. Avidius Nasso about to find it out for his piece of heart. Another bottle, and a map.
Yep, so Aga 1 is the play. And now I see why Durand didn't go through the Aga 1 tower, because he didn't go to Eastern Palace to get the lamp. I'm pretty sure he probably doesn't trust his dark room for that.
And then, of course, on top of that, wanted to make sure that, you know, we're not missing where we should be in logic. He, as you mentioned, he can definitely infer that it's in Eastern Palace, so some pretty smart decisions to double back there. And honestly, I mean, dark rooms in Aghanim Tower, or in Hyrule Castle Tower, relatively scary amongst dark rooms. There's the Dark Maze that's the most threatening, in my opinion.
So it actually looks like Avidius is going to be the first one to go up.
And as a reminder to those of you tuning in, this is actually a race amongst 96 people. These are the 4 featured restreamed racers on this channel. Of course, there are 4 other ones on the Speed Gaming channel that's also broadcasting right now. So quite a lot of runners being put on show today. These 4 are pretty excellent amongst them.
Yeah, all 4 of these I think were at one point in the spring tournament, and I think they did pretty well through that, so they should be pretty good. Of the 3 that actually have completed some races, they've been pretty consistent in their times. They're all within a decent amount with each other. Durand is the lowest at 86, but he had consistent times throughout, so they should do good through these qualifier races.
Well, we're seeing that exact dark maze we were talking about before from Avidius Nasso, who does have the lamp. The one thing you want to avoid doing in here is alerting these guards, as they will definitely throw a wrench in everything that's going on with you. Always nicer to have the boots as well, so you can get a little faster through there. But you can see a lot of these hearts being taken as damage make those last couple of rooms a little scarier than they need to be.
But at least they're working off of 7 hearts. It's not the worst thing.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And that fire rod is for sure helping clear the way a little bit more.
You know, this is a pretty safe seed overall. I mean, we've received 2 blue potions and a fairy. Oh, did you see that hint tile?
No, I missed it.
The boots require the hammer. It's so vague, but I mean, like, that's pretty valuable information.
Actually,
Somebody's
that's not too vague. There's only certain places that can be. That actually came up in yesterday's race. It can be spike caves, swamp, or hammer pegs. Those are the only places it can be.
Well, I can certainly see the value in checking Magic Bat Cave right at the same time, preserving that mushroom even for a fake powder opportunity. A lot of runners may seize that opportunity today. Oh, and of course, as Chad is reminding us, Thieves Town Big Chest would also be logically a hammer-locked location. Durand putting that Dark Maze on display. You saw how he didn't take much damage at all throughout there. Very smart to not clink his sword or to alert the guards in any way.
Sorry, I also forgot Ice Palace does. But actually, according to the hint sheet, Thieves Town is not one that listed requires the hammer.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so while it is a hammer-locked location, not part of what the hint's reference to.
Correct.
Thanks for clearing that up. Something that I think a lot of us need a little bit brushing up on since this is brand new. Alright, well, Avidius Nasso in the Aghanim 1 fight. This is a 5-attack cycle. The RNG is set between all of our runners, so they'll receive the same amount of the blue ball attack, which is a waste of time. We cannot reflect that back at him. We need 6 shots total. The first one's always reflectable. 2, 3, and 4 have a 50-50 chance. And attack 5 you just saw there was a lightning attack, and we repeat. So we'll see the same fight for the most part. The only way you can really save time here is to knock Aghanim towards the center, which reduces how far he warps. Or I guess it reduces it on average.
I'm not sure. I haven't really looked too deep into that mechanic.
All about the frame saves, right? And this is proving to be a pretty long fight overall, though. Thankfully, nobody loses time. Interestingly enough, GamerCal is going to drop his first potion, the blue potion, having the ability to use Fire Rod immediately after. Will actually make the next couple of rooms potentially a little faster. I'm going to opt to do a regular Circle of Pots room, though.
Skull Woods is the other 5/6. Pod was the green pendant, and Turtle Rock was the blue pendant.
Well then, Turtle Rock being a pendant, that Ice Rod might not be as valuable as I thought before.
Which is a good thing. That's usually the one item that trolls a lot of people. Looks like a straight hype cave from Avidius.
Yes, it's a very dense location to check early on. Quizbowl actually takes a death and has not picked up that fairy, so we'll have to restart. Oh no, this was a death warp. I'm sorry. Well, we're going to get back-to-back Aghanim fights between Durand and GamerCal. Just a stone's throw away from each other. And Hype Cave has our first glove.
Not super hype, but that's a for sure good item to get.
Yeah, I would definitely not feel disappointed that I had stopped for, 5 items and got at least that. And this is also integral to routing the Dark World. Now, Avidius Nasso can also go towards the Haunted Grove through the liftable rock here, and this does save a little bit of time.
Yeah, he'll have 2 items to check: the grove itself, and then he can check the dig game, but then he's cut off from going down this area.
Yes, as you need the Titan's Mitts to head towards Village of Outcasts from this side. We don't have a hook shot or flippers, although you could... Oh no, there isn't any fake flipper you can do from the other side, is there?
Nope, the only other location he could have gone is Pod.
Which at this point seems to be exactly where we need to be. But Avidius Nasso is going to make sure that he doesn't have anything in this direction. And hey, if it's Titan's Mitts, you can keep going, right?
Yeah, but it's not a terrible play. You would have eventually come here anyways, but it doesn't hurt to check these items.
And we know we're not hurting for the rupees for Zora. So if this forces Avidius Nasso to do Zora later, or just not at all, that'll be a net time save over a lot of competitors. Ah, that's the second shield we've seen, the first one being Waterfall Cave. Avidius is actually continuing to dig. I'm wondering if more, maybe for rupees?
Probably they're not going to get a lot, though. And Duran checking Pod, so we'll see how good of a play this was to start off.
Yeah, and judging by the race game, seems to be... well, actually, no, they didn't have a power glove, but they don't really need it in here, though, so... Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't hurt them.
Shouldn't hurt, it just means that Avidius can now go up to Kakariko to do Village of Outcast and go... They have a little bit more items to check.
Yeah, that's true, and being able to route the entire Dark World from that point is definitely superior when you don't have the Titan's Mitts, or any means of crossing the river in the northeast, so... I mean, they'll all end up in the same place, but I'm kind of wondering if something here in Palace of Darkness might send our runners astray from finding that Power Glove in Hype Cave.
It wouldn't send them astray very long. I mean, everyone will check Hype Cave eventually. With 5 items there, there's no way anyone would skip that.
Alright, well, we did find out that we're not bow-locked here in Palace of Darkness, so Duranda's continued further into the dungeon, GamerCal shortly on his heels. Now, there's tons of ways you can route this dungeon. There are 6 small keys. But we're going to get a... Did you... The pedestal...
Magic coin ether?
It was a... Okay, so we don't know what Misery Mire is yet. That is going to be what determines whether that pedestal's required, and that's exciting. I mean, we could even find something required in Turtle Rock, which would require the ethers, so that's also a possibility.
That's true. There's nothing saying that Turtle Rock is completely out. It's just unlikely at this point.
That's incredible. Just anytime you see something like that, the tension just builds. Oh, and the hint in Palace of Darkness here telling us that Canis Samaria is in Swamp.
That's actually pretty useful information. I mean, they'll have to do Swamp Palace anyways, but now everyone who reads that will probably go to Swamp before they go to Misery Mire.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to double dip Misery Mire. Mire 2 room alone, already a big time sink.
So far, Pod's looking pretty empty.
Yeah, several chests to still check. Here in the Village of Outcasts, we're finding a full heart container in the Bomb Bull shack, so nothing too valuable for Avidius yet, but there are still several locations to check.
Yeah, probably full clear if you sound while you're here. Nothing was in... Oh, there was the ice rod in Pod.
Alright, so the Bow Trinex Dream's still alive, right?
Yep, that is possible. We found Blue Mail in the C-shaped house.
It would be super convenient to find a mirror here in Thieves Town so that we could do all the North Dark World too.
Yeah, but when is the game ever going to give you convenient stuff just for being convenient sake? The game still likes to troll regardless.
You're not wrong. Not wrong at all. Well, our fourth runner on the restream to be doing Aghanim is Quiz Bowl. Kind of around when you might see it in a NMG run if you're about my skill level, which is not saying much. But Durand and GamerCal, having explored Palace of Darkness, have some options to make. Heading towards Village of Outcast seems appealing, but it looks like GamerCal is going to take the plunge to Hype Cave.
Well, yeah, they have to get to Village of Outcast. They don't have a glove yet.
Oh, right.
Hot flippers in Thieves Town. That's going to be pretty handy. So it looks like in Pod, the big key was on the right side, and none of the two runners that went to Pod did the auto glitch to get over there. Which means if there's anything in the big chest, they're going to have to do a long walk just to get back there.
Maybe the hope is that since they know they're going to double dip it anyway, they might as well just do that on the way through with hopefully Mirror.
I mean, looking at it, it's also the green pendant, so they're probably hoping to not go back there at all, but you never know.
Yeah, tough decisions to have to make on the fly, but that's what it takes to qualify for groups in this tournament. Well, GamerCal finds his glove, Durand hot on his heels, and Avidius Nasso, the first one through Thieves Town, going to make his way through the Hellway. Not having too much trouble, actually. Juking these enemies pretty well with some favorable RNGs on top of it.
Decides not to... Oh wait, no, it decides to not hit the switch to be able to check the tile. And just a grumble.
That's a junk hint, right?
Yep, there's a few of those around.
Hey, I mean, sometimes when we call Sahasrula in the middle of a dungeon in the middle of the night, he's not too happy about it. It makes sense. Well, here's GamerCal checking the back of Escape through the grave, actually. Going to be a little bit quicker to get through here than his, competitors or his opponents in this race, who took the front half, like Durand did, I believe.
Both Durand and Avidius, at the very least, went through the normal way. Actually, no, Durand didn't go through that way at all because he only has 2 bottles, it looks like.
Ah, right, we did find that third bottle. Well, GamerCal seems to have sniffed out Village of Outcasts the same as Avidius did. Durand likely to go to the same place immediately following this dig game, and I'm sure Quiz Bowl's not too far out of the way. So we're looking at some pretty strong linearity here. The big time save potential, I'm thinking, is not doing Palace of Darkness right away.
Yeah, that seems like a good play. The only other place they could have gone, if not Village of Outcasts, I think was Catfish, but to walk up there just for 1 item.
Yeah, plus you always want to do that with the mirror if you haven't been to Zora yet. It just feels good.
And I don't think Avidius had done the mushroom, so he might actually think of mirror mushroom for that as well.
Yeah, that's the ultimate combo. Shout outs to Sour Lime Our Tracker asking the real questions, but what if Catfish had hookshot?
Then they'll eventually get there, and that would have actually opened up a lot more than just Village of Outcasts. Then they could have gone up to Death Mountain.
If that happened, I'm pretty certain that there would be like 3 or 4 runners who finished 10 minutes before most of the rest.
Yeah, that would have been just too big of a play to grab that kind of item that early after getting into Dark World.
Well, it looks like Avidius Nasso uncovering a pun from Blind, as is custom in this boss fight, seeing as, that's been a staple in Elite Pass Randomizer. The food they serve guards lasts for centuries. Interesting. Getting a little off script on the fight, though. This is a predictable fight if you do the same thing every time. In a bit of a dangerous situation, still has to get 1 or 2 more slashes.
I think he has another bottle of blue potion as well, so I think he'll be fine. Or cape at the very least.
Well, invisibility grants him burritos. Vidisnaso taking on Blind, though, will get his first crystal, and well over half an hour into the race, yes, that is the first crystal you see on the restream. Your eyes do not deceive you.
Just sometimes scenes play out like this. Quizbowl buying a red potion, just wanting that little bit of extra safety.
This is one of the reasons I like turning in Zora early in a race, just because, you know, if you have the extra rupees beyond that point, you're not afraid to spend them.
Unfortunately, only 2 runners actually have the cash for Zora right now, and to have to walk back there just for that one item, it's not really that good of a play right now.
Which, of course, we know is 500% the wrong decision.
And Ovidius going up to Spike Skullwoods, that's actually not a bad play. He has the Fire Rod, he has the sword, he can complete the dungeon.
Certainly not a fun fight, but you do have the hammer as well, have backup weapons to work with. There are 2 item locations in this dungeon, and 2 of those locations, being the boss and 1 chest, are locked behind that fire rod. In case somebody hadn't, acquired it earlier, that would be a consideration for some of our other runners. Not that it's likely anybody did miss it, but,
Just a piece of heart for the first item.
Yeah, and that container wasn't even Sanctuary Hearts, so we're not going to get a refill. We're just going to spend a bunch of hearts on trying to do some bomb jumps. But it is good knowledge, and Quizbowl's not very far behind him either. If the seed keeps it up like this, I get the feeling this is going to be a straight execution race for most of this, playing field.
And all these runners seem to be pretty even in their times, so we know that their execution is on the ball.
Avidius Nasso is moving on towards the big key room, deftly avoiding that floor master. The floor master being, of course, the kind that grabs you from the floor, not the wall masters. Strange distinction to make, I know, but Legend of Zelda enemies have some interesting naming conventions. Alright, that's a small key, so we still have 1 item left. An interesting gambit to make. Of course, most runners will just go straight to Mothula to finish the boss first, but you could potentially, if this were a pendant dungeon, you could gamble on that chest if you wanted to.
I think he'll go to the boss first, clear that up if it's the item grade. If it's not, then he'll search the last chest.
Yep, and of course, if it was a pendant today, we would still end up going to the boss regardless, just because that is still a possibility. Although was Avidius Nasso the one who checked it?
I think it was Avidius because he had the book and he went to Village of Outcast first, so he knows what's on the pedestal, so he would be more likely to clear pendants at this point in time. It's still not ideal for him to do so, but in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking, if I need this while I'm in the dungeon, I might as well finish it.
Yeah, the most ideal scenario possible if you're going to go pull the pedestal is to do this very last before you do so, and to have all 3 pendants and a mirror to be able to go right over there. Mummy Hellway here for Avidius Nasso, having to deal with quite a lot of very friendly wrapped friends.
And
trying to preserve magic.
Quizbowl doing the opposite, checking the chest first, finding out it's a 20 rupees, so we know the boss doesn't have anything worthwhile.
And he takes a death warp, which is a smart way to get back to the entrance with some extra health. And of course, this is a crystal, so he does have to go all the way back through. But he will lose time on Avidius in this dungeon.
In terms of the dungeon, yes, he's already a little bit behind because he hasn't done Thieves Town yet, whereas Avidius has.
Well, this fight's pretty scary in general. The nice thing about the Fire Rod is it does tend to make Mothula bounce off of the spikes, which if you knock him into, will negate all damage you've done to him. So a lot of kind of scary moments here. We do... well, he only does 1 heart of damage, though, to his blue mail, so that's not so bad.
But with all the spikes flying around, that's not helping either.
Yeah, you got that right. Word of advice to anybody trying to get better at this fight. You're usually best off if you can try to do your damage from above Mothula, as the hitbox is kind of wonky and a little hard to properly hit without colliding with him, particularly if you're using hammer. But Avidius Nasso's wrapping it up after using a blue potion. Pretty smart decision, as that did give him the full refill he needed to burn it down.
And it looks like Quizbull basically got his fire shots in, immediately switched to his blue potion to do more fire rod shots.
Looking like a solid fight so far, but having a little trouble getting the last hit here. Well, that's good enough to take care of the moth today. Mothula, moving around in a frenzy. As I heard, the moth seems to like the lamp.
They are attracted to flames, yes.
Well, there you go. That's all it took to coax him out of the corner there. Quizbull also remembering that you do get a full magic refill and a full health refill after a boss, so that use of Fire Rod paid off pretty well.
Now it looks like he's going to be down on his way to Village of Outcasts, probably to do Thieves Town.
Yep, so a little bit of backtracking to deal with here. Avidius Nasso, I'm going to check the Lake Hylia item as well as go to Hobo, since we do have the flippers. 300 rupees, not something we're going to stop for, but I don't think anybody else has been under the bridge.
I forget which one person has. There was nothing of use here.
Oh, right, as we did have somebody fake flipper to the waterfall cave, you're right. Oh no, his last 20. I think he sent us in a beer run.
Here's some money for beer, and then he never sees us again.
It's a cruel world, Hyrule. All he wanted was just, like a case. Durand has his blind fight ahead of him. Quizbull heading towards Thieves Town as well, and GamerCal's about to take care of Mothula. Avidius still, once again, the front runner here, giving us the next piece of information once he's done with this segment. I don't believe... Yeah, we're not going to have rupees enough in this cave to check Zora, which is actually a blessing, potentially. If he goes back, it's going to stink.
At least he could refill his bottles here. We're just trying to think where the next place they'll go is, and I'm thinking it's actually going to be up to Death Mountain. I don't think there's any other place they can go.
Yeah, nothing else explicitly makes sense at this point. Henry Lebesk in chat asking about how many people we have in this race. There are 96 entrants, the same as we're going to have actually qualify for groups, interestingly enough. And I believe Avidius actually got a fairy out of that bottle drop, so that's pretty nice.
I believe it was 2 fairies because he threw 2 different bottles in. I think it's a static roll that once you find out what it will fill the bottle with, it's the same all the time.
For that particular... oh, that makes sense. Yeah, a lot of elements of RNG are set between racers, including prize packs, as well as the tiers for the tree poles, as well as stun prizes even. So if you use a boomerang or a hook shot to stun an enemy and then kill it, that'll be a consistent drop every time. A random one, but consistent between all the runners. So this is interesting. Avidius Nasso here is going to turn in the mushroom. Now, I don't know when the last save and quit was, but we didn't really gain anything super important. I don't think he'll hard reset here, though.
The save and quit was probably right after Skull Woods. But with that save and quit, then a reset's not going to do anything.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of a unlikely scenario, but if there was something in Magic Bat and fake powder would get us to that sooner, that could end up being interesting. That could actually hurt Avidius later.
Time will tell. And it looks like he's going to go up to Death Mountain. I can't see any other reason he'd be going up this direction.
I'm kind of curious to see that GamerCal is heading back towards Desert Palace now. We do have the means to complete the dungeon, since we only have the compass on the torch. We have everything we need to finish up the boss even.
It's probably not going to be a terribly fun boss with hammer or fighter sword. The fire rod will help if you hit your shots.
Yeah, hammer is definitely the most powerful weapon we have that doesn't require magic. But as you mentioned, not a very fun hitbox to manage. You pretty much gotta smack him right as he comes out of the ground.
And you can't miss many shots either with the fire rod, with the regular magic that they have.
So we're seeing a question in the chat. What is the goal of this game? What are we doing? Well, if you haven't played Zelda 3, this is A Link to the Past. This is Randomizer, so we've randomized all the weapons and all the items and everything in all the locations of the world. Kind of like a logic puzzle. You unfold it and figure out how to get all 7 crystals and defeat Ganon is the actual goal of this mode. So that's pretty much what we're up to here. All 4 of these runners are being restreamed here out of a pool of 96 racers on SRL.
And with the hidden system now in place, Avidius basically deciding not even worthwhile just checking to see what the item is, because they're probably going to read the hint tile anyways, just drop down and get it. Ooh, the shovel fetch quest.
And while Avidius was grabbing that and finding out that there's just some money at the waterfall, which we do know, and he double checks it just to make sure, like, oh man, really? Durand actually had a really nice fire rod shot to get through some mummies, and we'll have some extra magic to work with here in the Mothula fight. A little worried about health here, though. I think we still have a potion.
And it looks like instead of actually leaving the mountain, Avidius might actually be going to do Spike Cave.
Well, we did find out earlier that, a hammerlock location has, I think we said boots, right?
That was boots. But that's the only other thing that he can get up in the mountain.
That's right. We don't have the mirror or the hook shot. So might as well get it while you're here.
And it's within logic because he has a cape and he has magic.
Also, I want to shout out Durand for that masterfully done Mothula fight using 2 sword spins to finish it off. Didn't use any potions. With 3 hearts. Well, it was a narrow window. Do you think he's going to reflect on that choice?
It's not necessarily a bad thing to get.
Well, we're hoping that he can bounce back some of the negative... I don't know. I can't make the pun out of that. Anyway, Mirror Shield being found at Spike Cave. The only thing it does for us logically is Laser Bridge in Turtle Rock, which we can definitely not do yet.
And let's see what's in the stake spot. Flute. That doesn't actually unlock anything.
Well, the only thing missing to make that even more vanilla is the actual Flute Kid, who unfortunately through the magic of the back end of this game had to be removed to prevent soft lock situations, but Vidius Nasso getting bothered heavily by Usain Bolt, the fastest guard in Hyrule, on his way to activate the Swag Duck Flute.
So where's the next play? I'm trying to think where they can go, and I can't think of anything that they can access that they haven't already done.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to think.
I don't see anything in Gamer Cal's inventory that gave him anything in Desert Palace.
Oh,
Oh, right, Pyramid Fairy. If they do Desert, that's a good point.
honestly, that seems to be all that's left, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure that is all that's actually not been checked.
Gamer Cal gets his 500 rupee refund, choosing to turn back time on King Zora, reversing the scam. Really awesome decision to make, I guess, financially speaking. Wow, I can't believe Pyramid Fairy at this point in the race with so few crystals.
So the question is, what is that Pyramid Fairy that will unlock the rest? Or unlock the next thing?
Well, so we know that it has to be hammer locked if it's boots, so the boots are definitely not there, or could be locked behind something that we find there. So we could find maybe Titan's mitts. I could definitely see the hookshot being there.
At this point, I think Titan's Mitts would be the thing that unlocks the most for them. Shovel was in Spectacle Rock Cave.
Well, Avidius Nasso seems to have pretty good instincts here, having counted everything, double checked it. Going to walk away from the bomb shop, actually.
Because he hasn't
We've
done...
not done Palace of Darkness.
Well, he hasn't done Desert Palace to get the bomb yet, so... But because he hasn't done Pod, he's going to check there first. More items to find.
So I believe that'll make Gamer Cal likely the first person to turn in the big bomb, it looks like.
He's the closest to turning it in. How long it takes him to go that direction and determine that's the best play is the question.
Ah, yes, as he still does have Village of Outcasts. And of course, chat reminding us that nobody has checked Catfish yet. That appears to be where Avidius Nasso's heading now. Quizbull picks up his shovel, though, and finds out the useless information about the waterfall. Our runners are starting to coalesce, but they have a lot of things to overlap with each other. This is a good opportunity to remind everybody, if you're enjoying the race that you're seeing today and the show being put on by these racers, give these folks a follow. They've definitely put in a lot of hard work and effort to get as good at the game as they are. And then, of course, there's plenty of tournament life left for them, as many of them appear to be of the caliber to make it into the qualifiers, or to the groups at least. Of course, you should also follow Link to the Past Randomizer and ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 4, and of course the Speed Gaming channels if you want to catch the rest of this tournament.
Oh, Catfish with the play, the Titan's Mitts.
Wow, that was available a while ago.
As soon as they entered... No, not... As soon as they finished Hype Key, they could have grabbed those.
Talk about some strange doubling back you'd have to do.
So Pyramid Fairy wasn't necessarily the progression, but it still could have progression.
Yeah, I mean, a lot opens up with those Titan's mitts, but we could find a mirror here still.
No. And Quake for Misery Mire.
And Quake for Misery Mire, so the Ether is probably not required, but still a chance that pedestal's alive if Turtle Rock has something important for us. Mire Shed here. Coming up empty.
No, Pedestal is dead. If Ether's there, there's no reason it would be required for anything.
Well, I'm thinking if there's... Well, is there anything that could possibly be in Turtle Rock that we would need for elsewhere?
But what I mean is, because Turtle Rock is a pendant, Ether cannot be pedestal is dead because Ether cannot be the medallion needed to get into Turtle Rock.
Oh, right. Thank you. That's important to clarify. Now, if we had inverted mode, it'd be a different story. But that's for later in the tournament.
Yeah, and GamerCal determining now that it is Catfish's progression for them.
Alright, so Titan's Mit's opening up the Mire area. We get some information there, but we also have a number of other things we can do. Village of Outcasts and Kakariko having a couple of opportunities for us. It might have to do a world tour with that Smith, though.
It looks like Avidius is going to try Hammer Pegs first, hoping that this is the boots are locked by Hammer.
Yeah, and this seems to be a very likely spot at this point.
If not this, then he can at least go pick up the Smith later and then do the save and quit.
Oh, wow. And you mentioned that the Hammerlock location cannot refer to the Magic Batcave, right?
Correct, because the way hints are currently programmed, it requires being able to be referenced for all the modes. So you do not need the hammer to get into the Magic Bat. You can use the mirror. So that is not a strict requirement for hammer needs. And same with Turtle Rock with inverted, you don't need the hammer to get into Turtle Rock in inverted mode. Therefore, all Turtle Rock does not need hammer.
That makes sense. I didn't happen to catch what the hint was in Ice Palace just yet. But what does that leave us for the Hammerlock locations then?
There is still a couple locations in Ice Palace and then Swamp at this point. And Helmasaur, I believe, is the last one.
Okay, so those are the things that can be, because they directly block by Hammer. That makes sense. Okay.
Correct. Yes, hints are eventually going to be, I think, fixed in terms of describing specific per specific mode, but it's just right now they're not. And mirror at Breadsmiths.
Holy smokes! Well, if you were looking to find a winner today, you could only look in the mirror. I don't know about Avidius Nasso winning the entire race, but that's a great advantage over the other restreamed runners. As GamerCal is going to be spending a fair amount of time here in Ice Palace, no matter what. I think it was pretty much a full clear either way, but definitely a time sink. Oh, but he does find out that the Pyramid Fairy was skippable.
After he's already grabbed it.
So I'm wondering how many runners out there may have considered the Catfish or may have considered Ice Palace before having committed to Big Bomb, as Big Bomb definitely seemed appealing.
With what was left for our knowledge, Pyramid Fairy did seem like a good play. And with that mirror, VDS going up to Death Mountain, there's going to be 8 chests that they can access right away. Actually, no, sorry. They also have Dark Death Mountain. They have access to a lot of chests up here. That's actually a good hint for them. Better copy of your sword, so once they get Master Sword, they know exactly where Tempered Sword is.
That was on the Ether tablet?
Correct. So if they come up to Ganon's Tower with just the Master Sword, they know it's just a quick walk and a mirror over to get Tempered.
Yeah, that's really convenient. And nice to be able to do so before arguably the most difficult dungeon in the game. Looks like Quizbowl's going to stop to pick up some rupees. Some rarely seen rupee farming just outside of Desert Area. I'm wondering if this is to buy a potion.
Looks to be with the note. Or I don't think they've gone into pod yet, so maybe they're thinking pod and they wanted to farm up rupees for Kiki.
Yeah, great opportunity to do so, and if you're not jumping into any other dungeons first, that's the best way to go about it. Well, looks like GamerCal is going to take the long way around. Just looking to clear everything he can out of Ice Palace and not miss anything to come back into here. But Avidius is the first one because of that mirror to be up in Tower of Hera, and we'll be going all the way through.
Might as well, since Crystal, they can complete it. And we saw arrows at Mimic Cave hint, so we know that's not anything they're going to go for.
Did you say arrows or silvers?
Arrows.
Yeah, so definitely not too important for us today. Finding a compass, we're gonna use logic of exclusion to try and make sure we're not spending any extra time in Hera, but that's a basement possibility.
And Ice Palace had the hint for the Titan's Mitts. So you needed the Titan's Mitts to get the hint for Titan's Mitts.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. GamerCal doing a very interesting bomb jump in the hookshot room to try and full clear this dungeon in one convenient pass through. Would otherwise, I believe, require the Cane of Samaria at this point if he had wanted to try and full clear it the same way.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not very familiar with Ice Palace logic.
Ice Palace ski logic and just general logic as well, with the bomb jump in mind, it can get pretty complex. All right, well, Moldorm says no to Avidius Nasso. He's going to give that another try. I appreciate that he's using the hammer. That's the strong way to do it.
With their current inventory, it's the best way.
Well, after laying the smackdown, we find the last of the dungeon items. To the basement we go. Well, potentially. I mean, you could skip it, but I wouldn't.
Yeah, at this point, I'm not sure. I personally might actually skip it to go finish the rest of Death Mountain, just to see if there's anything better, instead of spending the time down here, but it looks like he's going to go down.
Avidius Nasso seeing that there's a unique item on the requiring 3 pendants.
Which he already knew because he checked the pedestal.
I saw like a little brief pause there, and I feel like that's indicative of how he feels about that hint tile. He is going to opt for his coffee break, though. Putting a bomb on the switch and taking advantage of iframes while you're standing on those pegs. So if I recall correctly from what we talked about earlier, Quiz Bowl showing us the first of the right half here in Palace of Darkness, right?
Correct. He will do the bottle glitch, which unhooks the camera and allows them to push the mimics off the screen, which the game thinks they're dead, and allows the door to open.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. The reason we're able to do this is because both rooms are loaded at the same time on the same, what we like to call a super tile. So you can mess with the camera in that way, but that was expertly done. That was a really fast bottle glitch.
So it looks like Ice Palace both hits referred to the mitts on Catfish.
Not only that, but we find the powder from Cold Stare as well. So with all the items pointing us towards the Smith Chain and, of course, the Magic Bat Cave, I think we're going to see a lot of different routes to get all of these different items in that same area.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's actually anything useful there. If there is, Avidius needs to go to... Well, he'll eventually do Ice Palace and get that.
Also of note, we found our 4th bottle in Ice Palace. It was yet another fairy. Well, as I mentioned, Avidius Nasso clearing out the rest of Death Mountain. Our floating island today, just an explosive mountain, actually. 3 bombs there.
And this seems like an efficient route to do Spiral Cave first, then you're down at the bottom of the mountain to do the regular Paradox Cave, and then you can just hop down and do Super Bunny at that point.
Yeah, it's really nice that we have the Titan's Mitts and the Moon Pearl in this part of the world, as we can just do the whole Dark World immediately following. So the density of items is unrivaled at this point. Avidius Nasso very likely to find his next progression here. There is still Swamp Palace, though.
There is, but I think most people would wait until they have Hookshot for that.
Yeah, that's definitely the right way to look at it. We would hopefully find it here. I mean, there's not really anywhere else I think we can really find it after that.
No, because they can't really get into any other place.
Well, a little bit of love and extra, safety blanket for the bottom half of Paradox Cave. Or is that the top half?
It's a paradox.
The world may never know.
Gamer Kyle is on his way to get the mirror from the Hammersmith.
Ooh, and Quizbowl finds Quake in Palace of Darkness. There's our hookshot for Avidius.
So that was in the big chest, correct?
Correct.
So then that was technically bow locked, and that means that it's a long walk for Durand and Gamer Cal to go back into there with the bow. Because they've already cleared everything but right side and the big chest, that's probably going to be a long time for them to go back there, considering it's a pendant.
Yeah, and they're not going to do that immediately if they have crystals that they can, even have a decent chance at finishing completely. Avidius Nasso, though, having done all this, will at least make sure that he can check to see where Turtle Rock is. That'll be the first look at this that we'll have had yet. And this may still be relevant. We haven't seen everything yet. I guess that's the best reason to be over this way.
Quick again. So we know Turtle Rock is going to be... Oh, so we now know your idea of bow on Trinex is not possible.
Womp womp. A man can dream.
And that hookshot find was very handy to be able to do this immediately after. And there's the bow.
Oh, and the Master Sword. Well, you said it best. Once you find that sword, you can go right back over to the Ether Tablet. And while I don't think it's necessarily the only thing you would do here, I mean, you only have to mirror to get over there, so that's not bad at all.
That seems like a good play to do. Quickly check Super Bunny and then walk over to get your Tempered if you know it's right there. Might as well while you're up in this area. Tempered saves too much time for the bosses that are left to not pick it up.
Yeah, Artist alone is definitely worth the traversal.
And with the no save and quit, that looks like what he's gonna do.
In the meantime, though, our other runners, Durand is in Ice Palace, about to finish this up as well. Gamer Cal making his way over to find stuff over in the Peg Cave and Smith area, and Quizbowl finishing up his Desert Palace, may be considering that Pyramid Fairy not too long after.
Looks like Gamer Cal is gonna get the purple chest, and he's gonna do K45 along the way. So the question is, where does Avidius go next?
Yeah, he's certainly stacked as far as equipment goes, but he has the checks that Gamer Cal is doing right now available to him. Those might make sense to do on the way towards Swamp.
Quake was in Palace of Darkness big chest, which needed the bow because the big key was on the right side. Quizbowl skipped that by doing the potion glitch. So where Avidius is going now, it looks like he's going to do Swamp Palace.
Oh no, Quizbowl having a little bit of rough luck with his fire rod shots here in the Lamolus fight. This may actually be a pretty lengthy fight. Or at least if it was me, it would be like an extra 6 cycles over what he's doing now.
Yeah, I'd probably be the same.
Well, I'm actually surprised to see Durand took the key door to the right before Cold Stare. That allows him to powder. And if he had a Master Sword, he could do Sword Beam strats to save some magic.
But he doesn't have... He only has the Fire Sword.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So, like, if you had a Master Sword, you'd be able to. Fun fact, if you haven't seen it before, folks, if you line up your sword beam shots with the Fire Rod, they count twice against the shell, so you can save half your magic meter against Cold Stare when you do at least have a Master Sword.
And Gamer Cal is on his way up to Death Mountain. Get the shovel to get the flute. And Swamp Palace for Avidia, so this is a good amount of items to check.
Yeah, 6 items total. Plenty to gather here. Now, the hookshot is almost guaranteed to be here. I mean, we already checked K45, right?
No, he found the hookshot up in Paradox.
Oh, yeah, so hookshot's in here, which means we can do everything in here.
No, hookshot was in Paradox Cave, so he has hookshot going into here, which means he can check everything.
Did I just say hookshot was in? I'm getting my words mixed up. Looks like we find a hit on the silver arrows, though.
Graveyard Ledge.
I like that reference, though. Above the pose kind of reminds me of Ocarina of Time. And of course, if you haven't done it, because a lot of people don't, if you push the graves in the Light World graveyard, pose do actually come out of those graves.
So knowing that hint, I wonder if that's something Kill Go and Grab.
Certainly wouldn't take very long. The hint that we got about Canis Samaria being in Swamp Palace ended up being first chest, actually, which is kind of interesting. That's something people could have potentially found without the hint early on, even.
So with the boots behind Hammer, I think at this point there's only 2 locations, Halmasaur and here in Swamp. So I wonder if we're going to find it soon.
It would be mighty convenient to find it here. Although, it could definitely make Quake a last location check for Avidius today.
Well, we know eventually he'll have to go there, so it's just a matter of time. Eventually he'll run out of locations and have to go into Pod for that Quake medallion.
Yeah, it could definitely prove to be an annoying place to last item, because she would definitely full clear Ice Palace if that happens.
Well, with most people deciding to not go independent dungeons that often, it will make a later check for him.
Looks like Duran decided to take the dwarf to church. Gonna make his way around the world to turn him back in. And of course, he could flute over to Kakariko. Nice little time save. Oh, did Avidius just skip the left side?
I think most people skip until they collect most of the items to know whether it's worthwhile, and hope that the left side only has map and compass.
And of course, if you don't have the big key just yet, it's also handy because you can make your way back if you'd like to, and make that decision on the fly. Quiz Bowl there, not too happy about finding the Titan's mitts on Catfish. Decided to throw a bomb into the into the pond there. Not pleased at all.
Well, considering how long it's taken compared to the other runners, it's understandable. An hour and 13 minutes in, you're finally getting the Titan's mitts.
Yeah, bad news bears. Well, Swamp coming up a little dry so far. That's like the most annoying place to get the big key, in my opinion. I mean, I'd rather get it at Cold Stare at that point.
It's not so bad, because then once you do Cold Stare, you can come back in if you still need items, get the big chest, and then go to the other 2 chests. At least it's not on the left side and have to go to the left side and then come back to the big chest afterwards.
Yeah, I'm wondering, did we see a map or a compass yet?
I haven't seen it. I kind of missed the big loop chest at the bottom, but the rest of the ones had actual items. But with that big key, we know one of the items is still left in the big chest.
Well, despite not having the boots to be able to do a fast kill, a very difficult fast kill for Argus, the one-eyed pirate king here in Swamp Palace, Avidius Nasso seeming to clean it up pretty well. Two cycle with the second phase, not bad. Oh, three cycle.
And with the compass there, we know there's still 2 items left.
It seems like bosses aren't being very nice today. GamerCal taking his Moldorm fall as well.
Deciding to skip the last 2 items. That is interesting.
That's really gutsy. You know, I'm not sure what to make of that, really. I mean, that's something that could really bite him in the back.
It could be boots over there, but the thing though is we know Desert Palace doesn't require them, so realistically boots is only needed for, at this point, possibly Ganon's Tower. So that's not a huge deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's definitely places where we'll save time having them, but the time it would take to come back there, I mean, that may have been a very calculated decision as you're describing.
Realistically looking at it, it looks like we know exactly where all the items are left. So he could, in his mind, once he finds Quake, be in his mind go mode and just finish the rest. So to have to go to the left side just to find one potential item that he needs is not as good of a play.
Also, rip GamerCal, having a really bad day.
Everyone has days like this once in a while.
But that hammer smack's enough to finish it out. Durand almost overtaking him in that boss fight, but good enough for a burrito today.
Night Raid Jack, we know Quake is in the big chest in Palace of Darkness with the big key on the right side. Quizbowl got it because he bottle glitched, but otherwise Avidius is the only one with the bow right now to grab it.
Yeah, and we found that bow in Hookshot Cave.
Correct.
Of Dark Death Mountain, so that's a long way to go to get there.
Although realistically, Durand and GamerCal should find that soon.
I wouldn't even be surprised to see someone bottle glitch instead on a double dip, you know, just to avoid, you know, doing the same thing twice. But I think at this point, I feel like you do need to be on Death Mountain.
Well, they're already on Death Mountain, so they're probably going to clear it. They'll find their hook shot and then realize they can go Dark Death Mountain, Hookshot Cave, grab the bow, and then they're set.
Alright, well, 2 of our runners in Ice Palace, 1 in Tower of Hera, and Durand on his way to pick up all of those items that we were talking about. Quite a treasure trove the mountain was today.
I wasn't paying attention. Did either of the 2 runners check either tablet?
GamerCal definitely did. I did not see on Quizbowl or Durand.
Okay, so then GamerCal's likely gonna, once he finds that Master Sword, do the same thing and grab the Tempered right away.
It seemed pretty likely that everybody would have, though. I mean, given what we know about having the book.
And that dead rock trolling again.
I learned something not too long ago. It turns out if you use the magic powder on a dead rock before you hit it, so while it's still active, you can turn it into one of those bouncing enemies, as it turns out, one of the weird ones.
Yeah, which does help, but it obviously takes time to do that.
You gotta be a real sniper with the powder. Well, as we mentioned before, Avidius is stuck doing all of Ice Palace. Still have not found that Quake yet, which is the one remaining item that we are well, the one guaranteed remaining item that we have to have. Those boots, as you mentioned before, Iceman will only be required if Ganon's Tower torch has our big key.
And they at least have, if they saw the same hint, they at least have an idea of where it would be, so they'll narrow it down if they have to go hunting for it later.
Yeah, so I gotta think if you're in Avidius Nasso's position, likely to finish up Desert, do Misery Mire in that same combo, gonna run out of places that you need to be pretty soon.
Yeah, and they'll know at that point. Oh no, they can't do Misery Mire. It's just Desert Palace that they can do because they don't have the Quake. So with that being said, they're likely going to go to Pod afterwards.
Yeah, so I would think Desert Palace, maybe check Big Bomb.
Which for Vidius is going to be a good thing because he'll be able to do basically the entire pod right away. He won't have to go back. And once he sees that Quake, he can just leave the dungeon.
Oh no, that was interesting. We saw GamerCal just now. Yeah, because of a messed up bomb jump, instead of going to the top of the mountain in the light world, he's actually going to use the south dark world portal. Which is a nice on-the-fly decision to make if you end up having to go the long way. This actually does save time getting to Super Bunny Cave.
Yep, because they can do Super Bunny, then go right up to Hookshot Cave. And then instead of having to double back after, you can just leave Hookshot Cave and go right over to Ether Tablet.
So, I mean, folks, there's no such thing as a failed bomb jump. There's just routing divergences. Don't kill me, GamerCal, if you watch this back. Quizbowl lining up for his Ice Palace bomb jump. This is also another important bomb jump that a lot of people can easily neglect. Running a little low on health as well. May have to end up going the long way if he doesn't make this on this try.
Yeah, and unlike Avidius, who has the Cane of Samaria and the hookshot coming in here, if he misses, it'd be the really long way. With the Cane of Samaria, so I've heard it's faster to not do the bomb jump if you're playing it a full clear.
Well, I gotta congratulate Quizbowl on pulling that off under pressure. Even having some extra health to work with, Durand picks up his Tempered Sword as well.
Yeah, it seems like the likely play for everyone who does that. Just basically go right over to get their Tempered Sword. And as I say, that GamerCal doesn't do that.
Whoa, Vidia's in rough shape, though. Gotta watch out here in Cold Stare. So, no, I think you just mentioned GamerCal did not pick up Master Sword, didn't go to Hookshot Cave?
Well, he picked up Master Sword. He went to Hookshot Cave because he has the bow, but he just decided to save and quit and not get the Tempered right away.
Oh, okay. And now, given the time it would take to get over there, I mean, it seems like a calculated decision. There's no way he doesn't remember it.
Yeah, if he checked, he would remember it, but I guess in his mind he figures that it's not enough of a time save. He'll just go grab that later.
Alright, so Durand, having picked up the bow, recognized the value of right half of Palace of Darkness, will get that Quake, and we'll have a pretty straightforward sequence of events to work with. If he heads into Swamp next, has some pretty favorable routing to finish off the seat.
And it looks like Avidius is taking his powder immediately and going to check what's in Magic Bat. And probably finish off the purple chest just while he's here.
This is going to be the Cane of Samaria for GamerCal here, who is also rounding out most of his equipment set. We'll have, again, favorable routing to finish this up, we'll be able to pretty much flute right to where he needs to be for both of these remaining dungeons.
As long as he checks pod soon after. And it looks like Duran's gonna actually complete the dungeon and see what's on the green pendant.
Yeah, and I believe Duran did get to see the Turtle Rock entrance, right?
I wasn't paying attention to see if he did or not.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking because I mean, there's no reason to get the pedestal, but I mean, everyone did have an opportunity, and I believe everyone did see the hint regarding the pedestal.
According to our tracker, he did see what Turtle Rock is, so he knows. And it looks like he's gonna gamble that the item is on the boss instead of the big key chest, or the big chest.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah, because that's the long divergence you'd have to take. So Duran's gonna end up spending, well, probably the only one on the restream that we see that'll actually fight the boss, as far as we know. GamerCal still has that opportunity to make the same decision, but we'll get to see the rare Helmasaur pendant fight as far as this race goes.
Which, with these runner skills, this should be a quick, easy fight for them. Tempered sword, bow, hammer, be no problem.
Yeah, this is about as ideal as it gets. Tempered Sword is really well for a really good weapon for the second phase, but if you felt really nervous about it, you could still line up those bow shots. 17 smacks to the face will take off that mask, and I believe it's 4 sword slashes with Tempered.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I get it mixed up a lot because NMG uses Master Sword.
And Nvidia's going back into Swamp Palace. I guess deciding to check left side afterwards. Really wanting to not go through pod.
Yeah, this is unfortunate as Avidius did have a natural routing advantage based on how he approached several locations in this seed, so this could be potentially squandering away a bit of a lead on the other restreamed racers. Of course, just as a reminder, folks, we are talking about a race that has 96 total entrants. You're just seeing 4 of them that we're featuring here on the restream.
And Hamilcar only had 300 rupees, and Durand not actually going to get the big chest. So he's leaving Quake behind. And Kane and Brian on Sahasrara. And the golden sword in the big chest of Swamp. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, max sword never hurts. You're only going to save so much time, but there are still a couple of bosses and a couple of rooms where that can still come to effect and be useful. Any particular enemies like Hogoboku, for example, the Pokies as people like to call them, a little bit easier to deal with.
And if he doesn't go to pick up the silver arrows in Graveyard Ledge, then Vitreous will be a lot easier with the Butter Sword.
Yeah, that's true. And damage boost strats definitely within the wheelhouse of these runners with the health situation that we have. Most of them around what you might have in an MG run, actually, with better equipment overall. Well, here's the left side for videos, which we have seen. 3 of our runners in Swamp right now.
And Tenber, yes, I believe Duran did skip the pod chest that has Quake. We'll find out once he menus next.
I'm like waiting with bated breath. That was the one thing I wasn't looking at either. Ooh, skipped it.
No Quake, so he did skip. And so now that we know the sword is in big chest, it actually wasn't too bad of a thing that GamerCal didn't go through. He can skip the ether tablet for that sword.
Yeah, that's true. Very likely to be picking this up anyway, and no real reason to have to, get the gold sword. You can definitely finish the game fast without it. Wow, that worked out pretty well.
And with Hammer not being in any, sorry, with Boots being, you saying Hammer locked and it not being in any of the dungeons, it is now actually going to be in Ganon's Tower. That's the only place left that is that Hammer locks items.
All right, Quizbull, having found his mirror quite a ways behind the rest of the pack, this will give him an opportunity to start really chipping away at these dungeons, which we have been seeing our other runners taking care of. So a little bit of catch up to do, but Quizbull probably feeling relieved to have finally found that.
And we'll get to see what's in Checkerboard Cave from Avidius' perspective.
Well, 20 times the nope in Checkerboard Cave. Vidius Nasso giving us some sword slashes of frustration, realizing the Palace of Darkness, as we mentioned before, is the last place that he can find Quake. I guess besides Lamolus?
Sorry, what was the question? I was a little bit distracted.
Vidius Nasso, he didn't do Desert, so I guess he could have potentially thought that Quake could be on Lamolus, but he appears to have resigned himself to Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, I don't think he did Desert, so I think at this point he's going to do the larger item location and hope that he can just go right through Desert Palace afterwards.
You know, for as many twists and turns as this race has had, I'm kind of surprised for an hour and 30 minutes that we've had this much completed. Our runners are really getting pretty close to where they need to be to finally close this out.
Yep, we know Avidius should get his Quake shortly. That'll be the last item he needs to finish off the regular dungeons. Gamer Cow will eventually need to go there to get his Quake medallion. Duran, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long time to go back there.
It's kind of funny that the first featured racer to get Quake was also the last one to get Hammer. Or not Hammer, I'm sorry, Mirror. That may end up actually being enough of a time loss to kind of make a difference for Quizbull here. Quizbull is also operating on Fighter Sword still.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of time before he goes and grabs. He's already on Death Mountain. I don't see him taking that much longer to get the Master Sword.
And of course, having the chance to get tempered, all the same. Finding out that information right now by checking the tablet. Still has to do Tower of Hera, which will not take too long, hopefully. Swamp Palace, and then Misery Myers. So it's a pretty straightforward sequence for Quizbull. His route seems to be etched in stone here.
Yeah, I think at this point it's pretty linear in where they need to go.
Alright, well, Duran's finishing up his Swamp Palace, knocking all that out of the way. Gamercal and Avidius both in Palace of Darkness to go get their Quake. We'll be able to hit Go mode pretty soon for some runners.
Yeah, Avidius is pretty close to it right now.
And since it's being asked in chat about Gamercal having a flute or not, it looks like he has his shovel showing as the first item, which would have switched, I believe, if he had activated his flute, as he would not have switched back to shovel since then. So yeah, Gamercal never did the vanilla location. Now, of course, this doesn't hurt him that badly, though, despite not being able to cross the world as quickly. Has no need to be in the mire area whatsoever until he finds that quake anyway.
But at that point, he does quake is needed.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be pleasantly surprised when he gets there. Oh, no, but he's going to go all the way to Helmasaur King.
Again, it makes sense, hoping that the needed item is on Helmasaur King or the green pendant before going all the way over to the big chest that he skipped. But Helmasaur actually had 300 rupees, so there's still an item left in the dungeon even after that.
Yeah, and it doesn't take that long to get back through the dungeon. I guess I can see the logic behind that. I'm actually almost surprised nobody has turned in that green pendant. Or I guess we only have one other racer who even did Palace of Darkness, but I'm surprised Duran didn't.
Now, Duran checked the green pendant, which was the crate of Brian, but he didn't do the big chest right after that. He just skipped out.
Oh, right. Alright, well, that makes Avidius NASA the second to pick up Quake, and unless there's a key on the torch in Ganon's Tower, I believe this is Gomo.
Yep, this is Gomo, but even if there is a key on the torch, I believe the last location Boots can be is in Ganon's Tower anyways. So it's not like you'd have that far to go.
You know, I was pretty sure this wasn't inverted mode, but it sounds like the run will start in Ganon's Tower.
Well, that's when they'll start actually running around the dungeon. Right now, they're taking a long leisurely walk around.
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to Ocarina of Time movement speed at this point. Looks like chat's getting some musings from the other restream. Want to remind everybody not to spoil anything in this stream that you see in that stream and vice versa. Give people as much of an authentic viewing experience as possible. But we do, of course, encourage your speculation, as, of course, we are doing the same. Alright, well, Vidius has his Quake. GamerCal about to go pick up his, probably leaving the dungeon around the same time. These two runners are surprisingly close, but GamerCal does have that advantage. Oh, he's going to do a hammer jump, which is going to save him some time here. Expertly done. Well, that puts GamerCal in his go mode as well.
Not quite. He still needs the flute. I mean, he can grab it with the shovel, but I don't think he's gone there quite yet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. As Misery Mire is the last crystal he'll need. So, interestingly enough, he's going to head back into Eastern Palace, which is more time sync. That's rough.
Yeah, I'm guessing he thinks there's still an item in here now that he has the bow and is in the area. Might as well pick it up.
Ouch, he had a really good chance to overtake Ovidius Nasso there on our featured racers.
And it looks like Duran might be checking the pedestal, thinking that there maybe is an item up here. Wants to be sure.
Yeah, given how many twists and turns we've taken and how far flung these pendants are from where we are now, certainly worthwhile to take a look at this.
Well, he knows all he needs left is Quake, so it's more of a case where he wanted to see where that was. He doesn't realize he has to go back to the Palace of Darkness for that.
Well, a bit of a high five from Durand and Avidius now. So one has the Quake Medallion, one does not. So Avidius gonna make short work of Misery Meyer here. Durand gonna wishfully think about it. If you were wondering what was on Armos today, GamerCal's gonna let you know.
And just some rupees. So now the question now is whether Vidius will actually check for items in the dungeon, or if he realizes he's basically in go mode and will just go mode as fast as possible the dungeon.
Yeah, who knows yet if it's gonna be a Godmire, but it would be nice. Alright, well, our first chest in Misery Mire is going to be a small key. The dream is alive. You would need a small key and a big key.
No, you really only need the big key because they're be underneath the next room.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just talking about like the optimal route.
And just some bombs, so he has a little bit more to look for.
Yep, there are only 2 item locations in the dungeon, so that's half of what could even be in here. But dungeon items are definitely still a chance to troll you hardcore, since, you know, nobody wants to go through a cutscene.
Nobody wants to, but there are cases, obviously, where it is possible. I believe if there's a key in the room above that, then it's a guaranteed big key in the cutscene room.
Ooh,
But there it is right there.
Ovidius with the God Vision. That's actually a really savvy decision to make, to step out of that room, since that would be quite the time sink to go through the cutscene room and just to deal with the torches. And we'll remember that there is a boss key door that you can go through in the room adjacent here.
So not much longer for him. He'll get to Vitreous pretty soon. Should be a really quick kill with Butter Sword. Can do cape if he wants to avoid taking damage.
Well, it looks like Duran's heading up to finish up or the basement of Tower of Hera. Still has to do Desert Mire and still get the Quake from Palace of Darkness, so quite a lot of backtracking left for him. But GamerCal has jumped into Turtle Rock, the first of our runners to do so.
Trying to find Flute through here. He's not going to find it.
This is a really rough place to be as a runner.
Trying to find that one location, and then when you find out it was in a spot you could have easily checked a lot earlier.
Well, on the bright side, he's making the dungeon look pretty good. But unfortunately, it's a dungeon we don't want to see. And on the other end of that spectrum, Durand also checking a useless chest. Bombs, not going to be very important for him. Going to make his way out of there. Has some decisions to make. Since there are quite a few locations that he has to check. And Palace of Darkness probably not the one he wants most, but he is heading there.
Yeah, he's heading there, so he's probably going to find it soon. If he's in the area, he's not going to leave without that at this point in the race.
I'm kind of surprised to see Avidius using Kina Burna. The lag frames are absurd.
The legs, yeah, but it helps keep... it also does some extra damage as well, so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, he did manage to get a zero cycle out of it. Alright, well, it appears the final item, Misery Mire, locked behind a big key or a cutscene or something. We don't care. we are out of there. And Avidius Nasso has just Desert Palace to complete before he can head up against Tower.
Yeah, with there being nothing that they need, we know where the silver arrows are. We know that the boots are locked behind the hammer, and we know where Ether Medallion is. There's realistically nothing in that dungeon they would have needed anyways.
Yep, absolutely. We don't even have potions to look for, as we have found all 4 bottles. So the best you can maybe hope for is a Sanctuary Heart if you were going to pick up anything. Not really much else of value.
Vidius is not counting his dungeons properly. He only has 6 crystals.
Unless we somehow missed...
No, when he did the menu to get the hook shot, I saw there's only 6 crystals in his inventory.
That's rough. I mean, I just can't think of a reason that you would want to go to Turtle Rock.
I guess in his mind, because he was looking for Quake for so long, he figured that Misery Mire was his last dungeon. He forgot he didn't actually do Desert Palace. Or he thinks he still needs the boots for Desert Palace.
Well, we're about to find out. I don't see a reason why he wouldn't open up Turtle Rock right now if he wasn't going to go in.
Oh no.
Not like this. Not like this. Alright, well, it'll be a race to the end of Turtle Rock for Gamer Cal and Avidius Nasso here.
And while that was happening, Durand picked up the Quake Medallion, so he's on his way to Misery Mire to finish off the last 2 dungeons for his. Keenstein, we know that the pedestal has the Ether Medallion, so we know boots aren't there. Boots are actually have a hint tile that said they were hammerlocked, which at this point should be in Genna's tower.
Yeah, we've pretty much exhausted all of Hyrule at this point, and I'm sure a lot of runners will feel that way. I'm sure they're all eager to talk about this after they're all done. But with 96 people in the race, I'd like to encourage anybody who may be tuning in, say after their own race, if they're done, to not discuss the race. Make sure you're following that rule that was posted in the Discord, folks. Well, here's Laser Bridge for GamerCal. Probably feeling a little hopeless at this point. Does find half magic, which is nice.
It's always a nice to have, not necessarily needed though.
Yeah, certainly not this late in the game. Hey, so that that hint regarding hammerlock locations, that doesn't apply to Turtle Rock itself, does it?
No, because like I mentioned earlier, with it being not specific to a mode, the hint has to be able to be accessed through regardless of what mode you're in. And in Inverted, you don't need the hammer to get into Turtle Rock.
Right, so any scenario excludes all of them.
Yeah, so that's why if you see that an item requires bow, the only location it can be is on Helmasaur, because you need the bow for the eye statue. Normally you would need it for Eastern Palace, but in Randomizer, you're not necessarily going to get the red Igors that need the bow. So therefore, it's not required for that.
That makes sense. Well, pretty efficient looking Trinex fight for GamerCal here. Unfortunately, not quite a one cycle, but certainly a very nice first phase. And we're going to find out if there's even an item. I don't think we saw a map or a compass yet. I'm not sure which we're missing, but...
Either way, unfortunately, he's not going to find what he's looking for.
Maybe it's the Ether way. He does have all 3 pendants.
Yeah, because Vidius was the only one I believe that actually checked, or maybe Durand also might have, but I don't think GamerCal checked the pedestal, so he might be thinking it's on there, and we'll do a blind pull for the Ether Medallion.
It just occurred to me that GamerCal named his file Qual, and I'm wondering if that makes him a Gamer Qual.
Could be. Ricky, all we know is that boots are locked behind hammer, which at this point they have to be in GT because all the other hammer lock locations have been searched right now. And Tanber, he doesn't know he needs boots. He just thinks he might need boots for Desert Palace. I don't think he's gone in there yet. So he's searching just before he clears it. At least that's the only thing we can think of at this point in time.
Yeah, unless there's something that we're missing, but it just seems like we've covered everything. Well, two of our runners are Misery Mire will have Vitreous take down, and they're both on their way there. So, once again, right on each other's heels as far as total crystals go. But it appears that Durand has a healthy advantage over Quizbull as far as Swamp Palace taking a lot longer than Desert Palace. And moment of truth for GamerCal, he picks up his Ether. That doesn't look like a satisfied. Uh-oh. I'm gonna take that as GamerCal is probably not happy about the Ether. He may have thought that that was gonna be the one remaining item that he needed, because it said that it was a unique item on that hint. I'm wondering if yeah, and it looks like he may have cut stream as well.
Yeah, GamerCal forfeited the race.
Certainly understandable, having searched all of Hyrule. Well, we'll reach out to see if GamerCal wants to share any words with us. Given the nature of the forfeit, I would understand completely if he didn't want to. There is a race to drop as well out of all of the 5 that you run. So GamerCal may be considering that, might not want his average to be affected in that regard, maybe won't discard the race. Either way, though, he still does have the opportunity to participate in, I think, at least one more qualifier, right?
This was actually his first qualifier, so he still has 4 more races to go.
Yeah, so definitely has the opportunity to. And when we saw on display, he's definitely great execution today. So he's somebody to watch for the rest of this qualifier.
And finally, Vidius is basically on his way to Lemmo to finally get his last pendant, last crystal. While Durand looks like he has all his crystals and is going up to Ganon Tower.
Unfortunately for Durand, Bedrock's not cooperating.
Oh, never mind. Durand also hasn't done Desert Palace. He's coming up to Turtle Rock, I guess, to look for boots.
Well, the boots aren't made for walk-ins, so, walk-ins what we'll do. That fear seems to be interfering with a lot of runners today.
Yeah, it's interesting that they haven't even looked into Desert Palace to find whether they needed the boots or not. And dead rocked again.
All right, so am I getting this mixed up? Quizbowl has already done the Death Mountain stuff, hasn't he?
Looks like he has. If he has the bow and everything else, he should be. He should be good to go. Yep, he has all crystals. The tracker just needs to mark off Swamp Palace. So he's on his way to Ganon's Tower. Will be the first of our runners. And it looks like Avidius is going to get the silver arrows. Maybe not confident in Serverless. So with Quizbowl going to Ganon's Tower, being for the first of our runners, if anyone has any guess of where the big key is located, get your guesses in chat now. It's not going to be an official speed gaming. Plus, during qualifiers, we don't do an official game anyways. But never hurts to get your guesses in.
Well, I mean, if you were to make a guess today, where do you think we're going to find it?
I just like the number 7, but I see some people guessing 3 for the torch, needing the boots, or the general location of 3 being the boots torch.
That would be the funny one.
And Quizbowl making the quick stop to get the tempered sword. Not a bad plan.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Well, I'm hoping today that we find it on the torch. I think that would just make the Turtle Rock decisions very funny.
And then we get to see where in Ganon's Tower the boots were.
Alrighty, well, the first chest here is going to be a single arrow.
And
And
10
the
more
second
arrows.
chest, 10 times as valuable. And of course, this means we cannot progress to the right side as we need a small key to do so. Oh!
3 it is. We need the boots.
No, what? Alrighty, so the boots that we've been chasing all race long are somewhere here in Gan's Tower, it appears. And Quizbowl's gonna go spelunking in the left side, as that's the only way we can go. Fourth location, a key that we've been looking for. We got a big 20 in number 5. Number 6 today is the boots.
And with the keys that he has, immediately mirror out to grab the big key. And Avidius not very far behind. We'll eventually find the same results. Although the amount of time that Avidius spent to get the silvers actually might come in handy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely several rooms where that's going to be useful. And he does have the gold sword advantage over Quizbowl, so there is a little bit of time to potentially catch up there. But Mimics, Ganon, all things that could make this worthwhile.
Probably land mode 2 as well. I think it's a little bit easier to hit silver arrows than it is to hit with the fire rod or anything else.
Yeah, definitely. And both can be done in roughly the same amount of time, but it's certainly a much easier fight, you're right. And Avidius saves just a little bit of time, but wastes it by checking all the chests. Could have potentially been out of that room a little faster. I'm surprised he's not mirroring.
Yeah, that is a surprise.
Well, it all works the same. We'll be a little slower, but still will be able to dash his way up the tower pretty quickly.
Making pretty quick work of the gauntlet so far.
Well, as we cross the 2-hour mark, Quizbowl on his way to the Lamb Molus 2 fight. We'll be able to dispense with that in short order with a full magic meter, hopefully. He's going to stop the powder first, which will change the actual arrangement of the Lamb Molus here. You may think he has silvers when he doesn't, or yeah, he's going to do sword spins. I don't see it too often, but the sword spin plus regular arrow combo actually pretty effective if it lands. Unfortunately, the desync between these Lamb Moli kind of giving him an issue here.
Yeah, and with no real arrow usage after this point, it's fine to waste. It's fine to spend some of your ammos for that.
Well, Avidius Nasso, trying to catch up, makes his way through Ganon Ball Z, moving on to the next episode, which is the Gauntlet, as Quizbowl is just cleared. Quizbowl moving his way closer towards Moldorm 2, just has to get through these Wiz Robes before he can do the torches.
And it's the perfect time for the boots at this point to run through that hallway. It's one of the worst places without the boots, I think.
Yeah, you really underestimate how persistent those guards are until you have to deal with them without being able to just run through. Well, Avidius getting a little unlucky when it comes to that silver arrow. This Stalfo is proving to be quite a pain in the neck, and he's actually running low on health as well. I think we do have a fairy still, but gotta watch out.
Yep, he has a fairy, and he's pulling out the powder to get the anti-fairy as well.
Quizbowl seemingly looking for a gold sword, or maybe, well, he knows where the silver arrows are, he just didn't stop for him, so he's possibly looking for a full heal as well, but he does find a heart container, a little bit of extra health. Well, while these two runners are in Ganon's tower, it looks like Duran's going to full clear Turtle Rock, meaning that it's going to take him a little while before he ends up going back to Desert Palace and then back up to Ganon's tower.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. And a heart container for the last chest, not bad. I believe he didn't see the hint for silvers and was probably looking for that.
That would make sense. Moldorm 2 chest having that heart container is kind of the pits because he did just get a full heal, so we'll never know if that was the Sanctuary heart or not.
We might if Avidius picks it up.
We're counting on you, Avidius. No exceptions, no excuses. There's like no chance he's gonna open that chest.
Considering he has the silver's max sword, there's not a likely.
Alright, well with that, Quizbowl's making his way through the Aghanim 2 fight. Avidius just a Moldorm 2 behind him. Not having very favorable patterns for this fight, but Quizbowl manages to knock it out. It looked like a 3 cycle, but I had a little bit of a stutter on my end.
Yeah, I didn't quite get a good look either. Either way, he's done and is on his way down to Ganon. And he checks it for us anyways, but it was not Sankart.
Well, it's good to have the cathartic, closure on that.
And Quizbull already on phase 2 for Ganon. Making pretty quick work so far. And Nvidius with a quick Aga 2 fight.
Well, as our runners are approaching the very end of the seed, finishing up the Ganon fight, something to remind the audience, they're not the only racers in this seed. There are 96 entrants, and many have actually already finished. Being careful not to announce all of them, as it would take quite a while. But we'll let you know where these runners have placed once they cross the finish line.
And let's see if Nvidius can make up a little bit of time. With the Butter Sword, he'll have a little bit faster phase 1 and 2.
Yeah, phase 1 looking golden, phase 2 just as good.
Quizbull having to do Silver List Ganon. This will take a little bit of time. At least he has the Torch Glitch to help out.
Nvidius has a chance to overtake Quizbull here. There's quite a lengthier fight here. 12 total sword spins for Silverless Ganon, whereas Nvidius just needs to nail those 4 silver arrow shots. Doesn't need the torch glitch, but does miss it. That's all 4.
And with the Silver Arrow, ends up sniping the place out from Quizbull.
What a close finish. Talk about getting sniped right at the end. So with that, Nvidius Nasso will finish here.
50th place with a time of 2:07:06 on SRL.
Yeah, so that's good enough for 50th. Out of everything we've seen today, that's just halfway through the pack. For as far as the first place finisher today, that was actually Mentos Man 8, who finished with 144.49. I get the feeling he went to Catfish early.
Yeah, that seems to be, if you have that good of a time, that seems to be the play. And Quizbull 33 seconds behind in 52nd place with 2:07:39.
Holy moly. There's a lot of people finishing around the same time here.
Yeah, when you have a race as big as this, eventually you'll have a lot of people all finishing close to each other.
Well, speaking of finishing close to each other, Durand is actually in Ganon's tower now, despite the setbacks previously. Accidental mirror here on his way to the left side, forgetting to switch to hookshot, unfortunately. That happens to the best of us. But will be able to get those boots pretty quickly here and be on his way upwards. We're going to reach out, though, to see if Quizbull or Nvidius Nasso have anything they want to add in a quick interview.
Yeah, Durand's not too far behind. Like you said, he'll get the boots very shortly. Climb up the gauntlet. Pretty respectable time as well, with what the seed threw at them.
I'd say about an hour faster than I would have, at least.
Yeah, that life lessons for sale. 500 rupees for one. 500 for one. It's a pretty big lesson. Don't throw money at Zora.
All right, looks like we have Quizbowl waiting to join us for an interview. I'll bring him in right now. All right, and we are joined with the first place finisher of the Restream 50th across SRL, Quizbowl. GG,
Second
and
place.
congratulations.
Remember, Avidius got a little bit ahead of him with the silver arrows.
Well, it's all right because he jumped out of the voice channel at the same time, so I might have missed the bullet on that one. Probably just working on some mic stuff. We'll have him in here in just a moment.
And Duran just now starting his gauntlet run. Making pretty quick work of the first two rooms. Duran making very quick work of all the rooms for the first part of Gauntlet, heading up to Lenmo 2. Decides to spend a little bit of time to get rid of the anti-fairy instead of just walking right through. A little bit weird. But I guess to get that timing for that spin, very nice. I've not seen that strategy before, but that was actually very well done, I think. Making quick work of the Wizrobes. Duran seems like he has really good execution in the Gauntlet here. We have the two runners through the restream. The waiting room will work out some technical issues on their end with the headsets and the microphones.
Alrighty, well, Durand here is almost in the Moldorm 2 fight. We'll have a hard container waiting for him if he wishes for it, but otherwise we'll be wrapping up his seat pretty quickly here as well.
Interesting decision to skip the anti-fairies with the powder. Running on 3.5 hearts.
Yeah, it's a pretty safe place to heal. Most people would do that there. Of course, this isn't going to give him a full heal either, but he didn't bother to pick it up, which is pretty standard for most runners.
I think at this point he just wants the seat to be over.
Well, we didn't explain the fight before, but Aghanim 2 here, same as Aghanim 1 we saw earlier, except he has 2 after images, which cannot be damaged. All of the shots need to hit the main one, and just like before, you got to hit him 6 times to finish it up. So the fastest you can do it is in 2 cycles if you get no blue ball attacks, which the main one would be the one to send to you. We had actually 2 triples in that 3 cycles. Unfortunately, the second cycle was not as good as the first and third.
But Agatu's down, on his way to Ganon now. He'll also have to do the serverless the same as Quizbowl did. But with the gold sword, the first 2 phases should also be pretty easy. I believe 6 slashes for each phase.
Yep, so the 6 and 6, and then of course the 4 attacks for phase 3 while he's doing his fire bad stomp. Of course, he doesn't have the silvers, so a little annoying to do the sword spins. You could do sword slashes within a really small frame window, but nobody does that.
And he's doing it on 2.5 hertz. I think he still has a potion left, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Either that or a fairy, I believe. Smartly choosing to stand to the side to have Ganon shoot the fire bats away from the torch, getting an easy torch glitch. Alright, that's 3 out of 12 spins.
Seems like he has this fight down. I don't think he's going to take much damage, if any at all.
Definitely easy to say, but it's also very easy to get hit by a fire bat. Ooh, that was narrow. Yeah, this is definitely the most practiced boss fights for most runners. If you're looking into getting into this game, this is one that's going to take the most practice.
He likes playing with fire, getting very close to the edges, though.
Yeah, fun fact, if you get hit by those fire bats, it'll send you in the opposite direction that you're pressing with the D-pad, so you gotta be careful to be neutral. But it looks like that's enough for Duran to finish it up. With Durand crossing into the threshold for the Triforce room, Durand will finish the race in 68th place on his official SRL time of 2:16:45. With that, we should bring in 2 of our runners who are waiting in the waiting room. We'll see if Durand wants to do an interview as well.
So GG.
So we have Quizbowl and Nvidius Nesso in GG, both of you.
GG.
Yeah, thank you. GG.
So one question I had immediately off the bat. I believe both of you guys went to Turtle Rock before going to Desert Palace, or at least Vidius did. Were you looking for the boots at that point still?
I found on Desert being boots locked. I metagamed a bit. I saw no one had finished at that point. So I decided that since I hadn't been there yet, let's double down on it and go look for boots. And that didn't work out.
I never touched Turtle Rock, so
Okay, so then I guess I was thinking Durand and Gamer Cal both did. So 3 of the 4 of the people on this restream all went Turtle Rock before Desert Palace.
yeah. But I made it to Desert Palace, and I got in there. I had no weapons other than bombs, and then as I entered the room, I realized I have absolutely no way of defeating these because I have 1 bomb left, and there's no way I'm going to get 3 of these guys with 1 bomb. And then I open the chest, and it's the 10 bomb drop. It's like, okay, we can do this. We can do this.
Yeah, so I guess Vidius, you didn't see the hint that said that the boots were hammer locked, I believe, then?
No, I did see the hint that they were hammer locked, and that I thought was one of my few hammer locked locations left. I assumed.
Oh, okay.
Turtle Rock. Is that not the case?
So apparently the way the hints currently work, and it's not quite known because the hints are pretty new, the hints don't account for what mode you're playing in. So because in inverted mode you can get into Turtle Rock without the hammer, it's not explicitly said that in part of the hints that Turtle Rock has hammer lock locations. So although you need to get in there with the hammer in open mode, that's not accounted for with where it says the hammer lock location.
Yeah, so Turtle Rock not necessarily included in that list. Also, we are joined by Durand, who's joining us from the restream as well. GG.
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 Well, so I gotta say, folks, I mean, this was quite a loop of a seed. I mean, many different paths taken, but pretty much everything coalesced around some of the major same stopping points. I wanted to ask, in order, I guess we'll start with Quizbowl. How did you feel with Palace of Darkness and doing, the bow lock side? What influenced your decision for when you decided to do that?
I was running out of places to go, and I guess conveniently had forgotten about catfish at that point. So I was thinking there had to be some sort of progression item in there, and then to go ahead and do the bowlock side with potion glitch. If I found something over there, I would just be able to slot in the bow somewhere in that logic chain. But unfortunately, it just turned out to be a couple of keys, so it wouldn't necessarily lead to that. But then I found Quake, and I was like, please, one of the medallions be Quake, so at least this was worth it.
Yeah, and it seemed like I believe that was your last item, wasn't it, Durand?
My last Go mode item was Quake. I made the big mistake of going into Turtle Rock thinking at first it was a crystal, and well, that was a huge surprise. And I looked back at my tracker and realized I did mark it correctly. I just assumed that was a crystal because it has been for many of my seeds. So that ate up a ton of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Avidius, we saw that you actually covered a lot of ground that others didn't early on. I believe you were the first one we saw on the mountain on the east half. But as far as that the same question about Palace of Darkness, I believe you did that in a second attempt, not with a potion glitch, right?
Yeah, I did it once I had the bow from Death Mountain, I think.
And I believe you also finished Helmasaur King. We were talking about it being that it might have been a gamble between that and the big chest. Was that kind of where your head was?
Again, I think that was I was doubling down on those boots, and I assumed he might have the boots, but I guess that also might not be in the logic
No.
with the hammer.
No, Hammer Sword can be hammer locked. It is one of those. So that was a legitimate check for the boots.
That's exactly
hoping to
why
find
I
the
finished it
boots.
too.
Yeah, I think Hammerlocked would be Helmasaur, then most of Swamp Palace, and then that kind of upper east side of Ice Palace.
Yeah, East Palace has a couple locations that are hammer locked, and obviously Spike Cave and Hammer Pegs.
And of course, left side Gallon's Tower.
Yeah. Once everyone on stream actually had gone through all the dungeons, we determined that boots were in Ganon's Tower, and when we saw the key on the torch, we're like, okay, now the question is where in Ganon's Tower? Luckily, you guys found it pretty early.
I know I was seconds away from being. Oh, I left side of Swamp. I didn't even go to Turtle Rock. I mirrored out immediately, thinking they're not here, and then I just calmed myself for a moment and said, "Wait a second, left side is hammer locked. They could be on left side," and so I'm glad I caught myself before running around everywhere.
Narrowly avoided snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Exactly.
I saw the restream there, and I also mirrored out after seeing the key and the torch, and then kind of worked through it and figured out it might be in there.
Well, it was definitely a very entertaining race for us to watch. Is probably very frustrating. It certainly seemed like it. I mean, we even had GamerCal forfeit on this one just from not finding the flute, which I'm sure you can imagine, having done the seed, was probably a pretty rough place to be in. But I mean, a field of 96, racers, and most of us stacking up around the middle of the pack. I guess I'll extend the same, order of question here, but how do you guys feel about your qualifier placement so far? Start with you, Quizbowl.
Yeah. So this was a little lower than the last couple of ones. I think I've got 0.8 on the official spreadsheet. The last couple. So this feels like just quick math, a 0.7 or something like that. So I might this might be the throwaway. It means I gotta bring it for the next two, but. So it wasn't my best performance, but I'm hoping it's not something that'll knock me completely out if I do have another bad run at it.
That's a very positive way to look at things. And Durand, I believe this isn't your first qualifier as well, right?
No, this is actually my third one, and this is definitely the worst one out of all of them. But hopefully it stays the worst one, and the rest are going to be better.
Certainly an uplifting way to approach it. And of course, for those in chat who may be kind of just tuning in, not having seen any of the qualifiers, the best and worst race out of the 5 that our runners are required to do will be dropped. So that would also cover any forfeits. So you would lose that if you forfeit a race. So I mean that's part of the rationale for what they're talking about. And Ovidius Nasso, this isn't your first qualifier either?
No, this is also my third. The first two were also large fields, and I think I placed top 20 for both. So again, I'm hoping this is the worst, but it's really actually not that bad because Quizmo and I were talking about this in the waiting room. We're only like I think 20 or a little bit more percent behind the average three because it was a longer seed. So the score shouldn't be too bad on this one.
Well, definitely, excited to see what we're going to get out of the rest of these qualifiers for the three of you. I know that we're most of the way, through it for what you guys are required to race, but there are quite a few left to go. Total, I believe, another 10. So definitely a lot of opportunity left for that. This is a great time to remind folks, since they put on such a great show for us today, please give them a follow. Here on Twitch, so that you can see everything these guys do. And of course, stay tuned to see the rest of the qualifiers for this tournament. Your best way to do so is on ALTTP Randomizer and, of course, the Speed Gaming channels. I also want to thank Iceman for having your debut commentary here with me today. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
And I believe we had two trackers today. We had Sour Lime and Tau Decay. Thank you for doing the tracking on the back end. And of course, a shout outs to Danny doing the restream here on A Link to the Past Randomizer, making sure that all the stuff works. With that, though, any final things you guys want to share with us? Things looking forward, any remarks you want to share with the audience?
So, I mean, first of all, thanks you guys for putting us on. I mean, it's it's a lot of fun to race, and it's even more fun when you get a chance to be restreamed. So, and I know it's it's a lot of work to get the commentators and the trackers and the restreamer all together. So, thank you guys so much for doing that for us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys are definitely the reason why this is so popular. If it weren't for you guys, I mean, how would anyone know about this? How would anyone be as excited, for sure? I mean, I got into it because I was watching a restream, and yeah, this is definitely heavily appreciated. You guys are awesome.
Everybody else is saying just thank you to everybody in the community, especially the restreamers, the developers, the people who put on the tournament, the trackers, everybody that makes this possible because it's a lot of fun. But if there's no community, there's nothing to do or play with.
Aptly put. Well, I think I've said everything I need to. I'll leave this to Iceman _F1 to close us out. If you have any last words to share with us.
No, I think everything that has been said that needs to be said. Thanks for all the viewers that are watching. Again, thanks for the trackers and the restreamer for helping out.
Alrighty. Well, for the qualifiers that remain, I believe our next one is tomorrow. Do you have the time offhand?
It's 1 p.m. Eastern time is the start of the race, which I believe then means the restream starts at 1:15.
Yes, and of course, usually we'll have one or two people who are configuring things last second in SRL, so don't be surprised if it's like 120 or something like that. But we will definitely have the main restream on one of the Speed Gaming channels, and of course, we'll definitely, if we have enough commentary and of course background interest, try to get as many on the ALTTP randomizer channels as possible as well, to feature as many races as we can, because these are 100+ person races at this point. Kind of wild. But I'm looking forward to it. So from everybody here at the Fall Randomizer Tournament, thanks for tuning in, folks. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the next qualifier. Stay tuned. Another chance to see a qualifier match tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.